So I just got back from checking out the new Asus ROG Phone 2. And if you thought that the Asus ROG Phone 1 was insane, this just takes things to a completely new level. Now there's so much new in this phone that it's probably gonna take me a while to go over it. So I'm just gonna tell you everything that's new, and then I'll give you my impressions afterwards because I think that'll just make things go a little bit smoother. So first and foremost, this phone is physically massive. The screen is 6.59 inches, which is just huge. And then there's bezels on the top and bottom, so it's even bigger. It's bigger than the OnePlus 7, which I already thought was a pretty big phone. But this screen isn't any normal screen. It's a 120 Hz AMOLED display, which is insane because so far the highest refresh rate AMOLED that we've seen is the OnePlus 7 Pro with 90 Hz. And if you wanted to get 120 Hz, you're gonna have to get an LCD screen like you would get on the Razer Phone 2. But this screen is just nuts. It's 120 Hz, it's got a 240 Hz touch response time, which means that it's scanning the screen 240 times a second to see if you actually touched it. And then it's got a 1 millisecond response time. So you would normally only see those kind of specs on like a gaming monitor, but they've brought it over to the ROG Phone 2. This is also an HDR10 panel, and it can represent 108% of the DCI P3 color gamut, and they tune these panels out of the factory to make sure that they have a delta of around 1. And that was just all the display, so you're probably wondering about the specs. Well, the ROG Phone 2 is the first phone to support the new Snapdragon 855 Plus processor, and I did a video up here if you want to check that out, but effectively what that means is that there's a 4% CPU overclock and a 15% GPU overclock. And this chip was really made for gaming phones and for people that want to get the best gaming fidelity out of their devices, so it was pretty obvious why Asus would use this chip in their phone. Other than that, there is 12 gigabytes of RAM and 512 gigabytes of storage, and this is also UFS 3.0 storage, which is just the second phone so far to use this type of storage. Otherwise, you would have to go to a OnePlus 7 Pro to get this speed. And an overclock like this means that the phone's gonna get hotter. So Asus has gone ahead and put a 3D vapor chamber in the device. They've put a vent in the device, and there's a physical fan vent on the back of the phone, which actually dispels heat to cool the chip. And they include this active cooler inside the box, which is basically a fan that mounts into the dual mounted USB-C ports on the side of the phone to actively cool the phone while you're gaming. So far it's already got pretty much the best specs out of any phone we've seen so far, but it's being powered by a 6,000 milliamp hour battery. And if you thought the Asus Zenfone 6 was huge at 5,000 milliamp hours, 6,000 is just insane. And I know that the 120 Hz is probably going to drain the battery faster. We saw that in the OnePlus 7 Pro with its 90 Hz display. The battery life wasn't quite as good if you left it on 90 Hz, but this has a 6,000 milliamp hour cell, so it's still probably going to last a pretty significant amount of time. And you can turn it down to 60 Hz if you want, or just make it go 120 Hz on certain apps if you so choose. They've also brought 30-watt quick charging over to this phone, which is pretty nice to see. It was 18 watts in the Zenfone 6, and you can use any USB-A cable to charge it as long as you use the right adapter. And speaking of the Zenfone 6, you've got the same camera array that we found in the Zenfone 6. So you've got the Sony IMX586 sensor with the 48 megapixel camera, you've got a 13 megapixel ultra-wide camera, and then you have a 24 megapixel selfie camera on the front of the phone, which Asus says is optimally positioned for streaming. It's just in the top right of the phone, but that's that. You've also got an optical in-display fingerprint reader, you've got stereo speakers, you have a headphone jack, and you've got 4 802.11ad Wi-Fi antennas positioned around the phone. Asus says that these are positioned with landscape mode in mind, so that if you're gaming on the phone in landscape mode, your fingers aren't going to cover up any of the areas with these Wi-Fi antennas. Now, the original ROG phone had these touch triggers on the right side of the phone, so if you were playing in landscape mode, you could use it to like fire a gun in PUBG or in Fortnite, and they've updated those in this phone as well. Now you've got a bunch of different positions, so you don't have to lift your finger up every time you fire. You can actually hold it down and it won't continuously fire. They're just updated, and they've also got their own vibration motors in them too, which is really nice to see. So that's pretty much the basis of the primary specs. Now, last year, Asus introduced a ton of extra accessories to go along with this phone, and they've updated those accessories for the ROG Phone 2. So you've got this attachment that pretty much turns your ROG phone into a Nintendo Switch. They even called them Joy-Cons up on the stage, but of course there's an official name for them. You've got this thing that basically turns it into a 3DS. It's like a dock that adds a display up on top. You've got this Wi-Fi antenna that lets you stream to your TV if you're playing a mobile game. There's a ton of new accessories for the ROG Phone 2, and it seems like they really care about this accessory ecosystem. And of course, you've got that LED illuminated ROG logo on the back of the phone, and you can set it to cycle colors, you can set it to blink, you can set it to be a static color. It's kind of a nice little addition there if you really want to show off the ROG branding. And last but not least, ASUS is allowing you to use Zen Ui 6 on this phone. And that's a big deal for me because Zen Ui 6 is a much slimmer version of Android that I really loved on the Zenfone 6. And I think that that was a source of a lot of the praise that us reviewers gave the Zenfone 6. So it's nice that you can use that UI on this phone as well. All right, so those are all the specs. And now I'll give my impressions of the phone. Overall, I think this is a really nice 2019 update. You've got the latest Snapdragon processor, and by latest, I mean the absolute latest. It's the only phone shipping with the 855 Plus right now. You've got 12 gigs of RAM. You've got the UFS 3.0 storage, which was only the second phone to offer this kind of storage. 3 USB Type-C ports, which was already on the other phone, but you've got a headphone jack, dual stereo speakers. The 120 Hz AMOLED display is insane. It's probably the fastest refresh rate display on a smartphone right now. And I really feel like ASUS just pulled out all the stops with this phone. They're really not holding back on pretty much anything. And especially that 6,000 milliamp hour battery is probably going to power this thing for a long time. Now, they made a lot of claims, like the fact that their phone can sustain frame rates up to 98% and there's no throttling, where there's throttling with other phones over sustained times. And they showed things like benchmarks showing that it's just the highest benchmarked phone right now. And we're gonna do all this testing ourselves, of course, because you can't just always trust what the companies tell you immediately. We're gonna be doing a bunch of independent testing to make sure this is all true, but I'm really actually excited to test it out and then get back to you guys with the details. So I guess the last thing is pricing and availability. And right now there's a China launch happening on the 23rd, which is tomorrow as of this video going out, but we still don't know the price of this phone. The ROG Phone 1 launched at around $899, so I'm hoping that they maintain that price point. There's a lot of really great phones out right now, like the Redmi K20 Pro, which are only $400 and have flagship specs, but I feel like ASUS really pulled out every single stop here, so $900 isn't a horrible price. Global launch is gonna be a little bit later. It's technically coming out September 4th, which is quite a while, but I'm really excited to actually finally get this in for review, and I'll let you know what I think about it when I get a review unit. So that's pretty much been it. I'm really excited to get a review unit for this phone and test it out, but what do you guys think? Is this completely nuts? Would you buy this at all, or is it just too gamery for you? Let us know in the comment section below. Head over to AndroidAuthority.com. We have a lot of photos over there detailing all the accessories and different angles of this device if you want to see more. So until next time, I'll catch you in the next video.